Today we are going to be doing the homework for Chapter 4, talking about time value of money. So homework problem number 4-6. It says assume the total cost of college education will be $320,000 when your child enters college in 18 years. You presently have $50,000 to invest. What is the annual rate of interest you must earn to cover the cost of your child's college education? So we set up our time value of money. We set up our future value. We type this in, FV, PV, PMT, K, and N. So we know that we have $50,000 to invest, so that's going to be our present value. We also know that we are looking to have $320,000 by the time they go to college, so that's going to be our future value. It also says that they have 18 years, so that's our N. So we're looking for our annual interest rate. We're actually solving for K. So I'm going to highlight K in yellow. Now I'm going to put the cursor inside the box next to K, and I'm going to go up top and hit the FX button, Insert Function. Now K is actually rate, so in the search button I'm going to hit search for, and I'm going to type in rate and hit go. I'm going to double click on my rate. Now it's going to ask me for inputs. NPER is number of periods, so that is my 18. I don't have a payment, so I'm going to skip that box. My present value is 50,000, and my future value, I'm going to put a negative sign. Remember that quirky little thing in Excel when we're solving for present and future value, one of the present value or future value has to be negative, but not both. And so I'm going to put a negative sign in front of that just so Excel will solve. And there it is. I hit go OK, and the rate that you must have an annual interest rate of 10.86% for your $50,000 to grow into $320,000 in 18 years. The next homework problem that we're supposed to do is number 4-9. So I'm going to click over to 4-9. I made a separate tab. 4-9, you're trying to save to buy a new Ferrari, $160,000 Ferrari. Aren't we all, right? You have $25,000 today that can be invested in your bank. Your bank pays 3.2% annual rate on its accounts. How long will it take you before you have enough to buy the car? Okay, so we know we want our amount to turn into $160,000 so we can buy that Ferrari. And today, our present value, PV, is $25,000. That's the amount we have to invest. And my annual interest rate, K, is 0.032, or 3.2%. So in this one, we're actually solving for the number of periods, or NPER. So I'm going to highlight it in yellow so we know that's what we're solving for. I'm then going to go up to the top and hit the FX button to insert my function. And now when I'm in the Go part, I'm going to type NPER. This stands for number of periods. That's what we're solving for. So I'm going to hit OK. Now it's going to ask me for my rate. Now my rate is my interest rate, which is K. I just touched the box where I entered that rate in. My present value is 25,000. I'm going to touch the box that I entered that in. And remember, we need our negative sign on one of these numbers. So I'm going to put it on future value, which is minus $160,000. N is 58.3. And remember, this is in years, so it will take 58.93 years to save for the Ferrari. That's a long time at 3.2%. I'm not sure I'm going to live to drive my Ferrari. Problem number 4-17. So actually I typed in the wrong number here. So 4-17 actually says, so I have the wrong setup. I'll just type it in while we're here. It says, suppose you are still committed to owning a $160,000 Ferrari. I am still committed. if you believe your mutual fund can achieve a 10.25% annual rate of return, and you want to buy the car in 10 years, on the day you turn 30, how much do you need to invest today? So, I'm going to clear all these. Now, my problem is still set up with the future value, the present value, the payment, the interest rate, and the number of periods. So I know I still want to save for I want $160,000 in 10 years. I know that my interest rate is 0.1025, and I also know that I have 10 years to save to this, and 10 years until my 30th birthday. So now I'm going to solve for present value. I need to know how much money I need to invest today. So I'm going to highlight that in yellow for you, and we're going to go FX, and I'm going to solve for PV, present value. I made a little mistake here. I need to go to PV. I need to select that off the list or type it in the Go box and click OK. So my rate is K. My number of periods is N. My future value, I'm going to put a negative sign, is 160. So I need to invest $60,302.32 today so that I can have $160,000 10 years from now. The very last problem we have for Chapter 4 is problem 4-26. And so this says that we have $15,000 you want to invest for the next 40 years. You are offered an investment plan that will pay you 8% for the next 20 years and 12% for the last 20 years. How much will you have at the end of the 40 years? Does it matter if the investment plan pays you 12% the first 20 and 8% the next 20? Why or why not? This is actually going to be a two-step problem. We're going to first solve for the present value, or for the future value after 20 years, and then we're going to use that to solve step 2. So I'm going to be solving for future value. I'm going to see how much money I'm going to have if I invest $15,000, which is my present value, for 20 years, so I'm going to put that in N, at an interest rate of 12%, 0.12. So my first step is to go into FX. I'm going to search for future value, or FV. I'm going to click Go. Oh, there it is on the list. I'm going to click OK. I know my rate is K. My number of periods is 20 years. And I know my present value. I'm going to put my little negative sign for Excel. And my present value is 15,000. I'm going to click OK. Now I've solved for how much money I have after the first 20 years. Step 2 is I'm going to take that value, I'm going to click the equals sign, and what I need to do is then take the value that I'm going to have in 20 years and then figure out how much I'm going to have 20 years after that, which is going to earn a different interest rate after that. So I'm going to tell my present value to be my ending or future value that I came up with in step 1. I'm then going to say that I have a rate of 0.08%, and it's going to be 20 years. We're still solving for future value, but we use the present value of our, for this problem, as the future value that we solved for in the last step. So I'm still solving for future value. I'm going to type in FV. I'm going to click OK. My rate is K, which is 8%. My number of periods is 20. And I'm going to put a little negative sign in front of my present value. And I'm going to click OK. So if my investment, if I had $15,000 to invest for 40 years and I earned 8% for the first 20 and 12% for the last 20, I would have $674,414.38. Question B. It then asks me, does it matter if I had 12% in the first 20 years and then 8% after it? Well, let's set up our steps again. Step 1. Step 2. I'm going to set up my problem. Future value, present value, PMT, K, N, and I'm going to do the same right next to step 2. Future value, present value, PMT, K, N. I'm going to be solving for future value, so I'm going to highlight these, the ones that we solved for in yellow. And now I'm going to still put 20 years. I still have $15,000 to start with, but instead I'm earning 8% on the first 12 and 12% on the next 12. So I'm going to go into FX. I'm going to search for future value. My rate is 8%. My payment, my number of periods is 20. And my present value is minus 15. I put a little negative sign in there. So then at the end of 20 years at 8%, I have $69,914.36. I'm then going to link that number and make that my present value for step 2. Step 2, I have 12%, and I have 20 years. I'm now going to still go back into my payment function, hit FX. I'm going to hit future value, and I'm going to put in my rate is 12. My number of periods is 20. My present value, put a little negative sign for Excel. Oh, and I end up with the same amount. So does it matter if I earn 8% first or 12% first? The answer is no. And we will end up with the same amount. I'm also going to post the answers. I'm going to post this Excel spreadsheet on Moodle for you. And I'm also going to post the answers for the rest of the problems if you want to do more practice problems for yourself. Enjoy the day.